The tugboat, for its size, is the most powerful craft afloat, and the Star Tugs are the power behind the docks and waterways that make up the big city port. This is TUGS.
Prejudice. Written and read by TARDIS 9.
Based on the television series TUGS by Robert D. Cardona and David Mitton.
Trampers of every shape and size came into Big City Port. These ships carried a variety of goods, from food and drink to vehicles, paint and valuable materials. Every one of them was important, though not always easy company. Some were pleasant enough sorts, but others were significantly more troublesome, such as Nantucket and Johnny Cuba. And then there was Izzy Gomez. Other than his attempts to seek the cheapest possible price for a tow, he generally just preferred to doze in the warm sun. Unless he was loaded with perishable goods such as bananas, then he would be eager to be among the first to get into port. On one particularly warm day, Warrior made his way out to the harbour mouth. He had finished his garbage runs for the day and was on the lookout for any more work to do. "Hello, Izzy," he called. "Need a tow?"
"Ay, caramba, Warrior,"
groaned Izzy.
"I no. Your toes, they always leave me bumped."
"Oh, come off it, Izzy," Warrior protested. "Only little ones, maybe once or twice."
"See, once or twice a trip, amigo,"
Izzy retorted.
But I gotta get into port and unload these bananas. Say $5?
"What?" cried Warrior. "Seriously, Izzy, that low?"
Alright, $10.
"Oh, come off it, Izzy. You know I can't take that little amount. I call 30.
15,
25.
20, or no deal.
Warrior sighed. Izzy could drive a hard bargain when he wanted to. "All right, 20, he relented. "Cash on docking."
See, amigo, let's just go. I gotta be docked soon."
Warrior tied a rope onto Izzy's moorings and began to take him in tow. They passed Zoran as he towed another tramper towards the port. Zoran looked over to them and called out,
"Couldn't find anyone else daft enough to take your prices, Izzy. Watch he don't bump your sombrero clean off."
Warrior and Izzy said nothing and carried on. It wasn't these two that concerned them at present. A third vessel had just appeared as Zoran had passed them, and was making its way towards the pair. Warrior tried to increase their speed, but... "Ahoy there! Ahoy! You, with the star in your stack! Cut your engines and prepare for inspection now!" Warrior and Izzy groaned collectively as Bluenose, the officious naval tug, drew alongside. "Here, what's all this?" Warrior asked. "Security inspection," said Bluenose. "All vessels coming into port from other countries must have their loads checked, double-checked and triple-checked to confirm they pose no threat to our waters."
"Eh?"
exclaimed Izzy.
"Why you not check Zoran's toe then, eh?"
"Silence you and prepare to be boarded," Bluenose said. "He's got a point, you know. If it's security, then why didn't you check Zoran's toe then, eh?" repeated Warrior. "Simple, laddie," Bluenose replied. "That chopper is one of ours. Our flag and everything. This one here has got a Mexican flag. Never trust a vessel what don't have our flag, Warrior. There's all ne'er-do-wells."
"Ay, caramba, gringo. All I wanna do is unload me bananas,"
grumbled Izzy. "Yeah, well, I've had enough too," said Warrior crossly. He started his engines. With a jolt, Izzy followed after him without any complaint. Both of them just wanted to get away fast. "Hooray!" shouted Bluenose. "Come back here immediately! This is disobeying orders from a superior naval officer! Yeah, well, we ain't no naval boats, Warrior retorted.
See?
Agreed Izzy.
I'd rather carry sludge than guns, compadre.
The duo carried on further into port, as Bluenose continued to shout his demands at them. They approached the dockside, where several cranes were waiting, ready to unload and reload Izzy. Once his bananas had been delivered, he was to take some grain to a port in Canada before sailing to Brazil for some cocoa beans to take back to Mexico. It was to be a long and arduous voyage, lasting for several days, and so Izzy would need to be refueled with coal before he left. As soon as he was loaded with the grain, Warrior took him to the coal depot. Throughout the day, Warrior couldn't help but notice a sad expression on the old tramper's face. Izzy, he asked, what's up?
Oh, nothing, amigo,
Izzy replied. There was a long silence. Then, quietly, almost to himself, Izzy said,
Warrior, we've been friends long time, see?
Yeah, Warrior said. So what?
Well,
said Izzy.
I no like saying this, but no one know what he like, amigo. I mean, I know I seem cheap, but I no can pay large money.
Why? Warrior asked.
Me bosses,
said Izzy.
Sandra and Bananas, they pay me too little. I ask for cheap prices so my crew can make living, you know, or too expensive and they lose money.
Oh, Warrior said. He looked closely at Izzy and noticed a tear rolling down his cheek. Your bosses, he said. Don't they look after you?
No,
Izzy sighed.
they don't even pay for me overhauls. I tell them me propeller feel funny, they no listen. They say I'm too expensive and say I'm worth more scrap if I no do work for them.
No, cried Warrior.
See, amigo,
affirmed Izzy sadly.
And that no worse of things. Every port I visit, one TUGS says same thing. I foreign. I know to be trusted. I wear sombrero because I'm Mexican. I know French or English or Japanese or American. But I don't like that. I like cheap price, but I know criminal. I like me sombrero, so I wear it. Not because I'm Mexican. And TUGS like Bluenose give me plenty trouble, because they don't understand or care. All they see is threat to their waters, because I foreign. I know Johnny Cuba, compadre. I just want to do me job and pay me crew. I don't even have enough to pay for new rudder.
Said Warrior. He tried to think of something else to say, but couldn't. Somehow it didn't feel right. But then it came to him. I'll take you to Lucky's. I'll pay for you.
Muchas gracias, old friend,
Izzy replied with some determination.
But no, I no want your help. I manage.
Warrior left Izzy at the coal depot and returned to the Star Dock to see if there were any more jobs. On his way, he ran into Big Mac and told him everything.
And you sure Izzy told you all this, Warrior?
Big Mac asked. Yeah, replied Warrior. And the thing is, he looks upset about it too and all. Reckon Bluenose has got him down well and proper.
Hey, well, have a free moment. I'll go and take Izzy out to sea. And if we ever run into old Bluenose, I'm not going to let him stop us. Ugh.
True to his word, Big Mac escorted Izzy from the coal depot out to sea. After agreeing to the price of $35.
Muchas gracias, amigo,
said Izzy.
No worries,
said Big Mac.
Just want to make sure you get out safe is all, Izzy.
But they were just clearing the harbour mouth when they heard a voice.
Attention! Attention! You there! You're assisting a miscreant. Drop your anchor and prepare for me to pull alongside now. Go and arrange some target practice.
Big Mac retorted as they passed Bluenose.
What the? of all the insubordinate, disobedient excuses for tugboats I've ever met. You stars would lower yourself to helping a no-good greaseball out of naval jurisdiction. I've half a mind to court-martial the lot of you.
As soon as Bluenose was out of sight, Big Mac released Izzy's tow ropes. He looked carefully up at the old tramper. Warrior was right. Poor old Izzy was tired and upset.
Hey, Izzy,
Big Mac said.
about what Bluenose said. You know you don't need to take him so seriously, don't you?
There was a long silence. Then Izzy quietly said,
You hear what he called me?
Hey, Big Mac replied. He gazed into Izzy's eyes.
I take it it's not exactly a pleasant name. It's insult.
Said Izzy simply.
Everywhere I go, some tug says something to me. And I just carry on.
Izzy looked despondently ahead of him. They had just passed Lily Lightship by now, and were out in the open waters.
It's good weather. I go from here. Muchas gracias, Big Mac. Hey, no problem, Izzy,
Big Mac said. He untied the tow lines and watched as Izzy sailed away. Izzy seemed sadder than Big Mac had ever seen him before. Bluenose's words had evidently hurt the tramper deeply. Izzy had never acted like this before. He was usually quite a cunning vessel, who tried to seek the cheapest way into port. Big Mac paused. He remembered what Warrior had told him about Izzy's own circumstances. If Izzy was paid that little, why wouldn't he try to get a cheap tow? Why would he not try to sleep whenever he had a chance if he made such long journeys with little maintenance, if he even had any maintenance at all? These thoughts went around Big Mac's wheelhouse as he made his way back to port. One thing was for certain, though. He and Warrior would have to discuss this with the other Star Tugs that evening.
"Oh, come now, Big Mac,"
exclaimed Top Hat incredulously.
"You don't honestly believe this, do you?"
Yeah, and so do you, Top Hat,
Big Mac grumbled.
Yeah, well, I don't know,
said 10 Cents doubtfully.
He's pulled daft stunts before, you know. Remember what he did to the foundations? God, it took me all evening to fix the damage he did. Now, will you shut up and listen to me, you lot?
Big Mac groaned.
You don't understand. It's not just some tugs saying all this to Izzy like them Z-stacks. It's Bluenose. Hey, well, figures,
said Sunshine disdainfully.
I can't say I like him much.
And that goes double for some of us, agreed Grampus.
Hey, it's not worth arguing over Bluenose,
cut in OJ.
We all know what he's like.
Quite so, OJ, old darling, agreed Hercules. Every time I have had to take a tramper to the naval base, he always tries to interfere. But what about Izzy? Groaned Warrior. Some of the things Bluenose said to him cut him pretty deeply.
I know,
groaned OJ sadly.
But we can't make a report against him unless we have evidence. We simply don't have the resources to do so.
Well, I could file a report to a superior officer, said Hercules. I'm not sure if he'll accept it, but I've had enough dealings with the Navy to at least get them to listen.
You do well to do so,
agreed OJ.
I get the feeling Izzy's going to need all the help he can get from here.
What's this about helping Izzy, I hear? I asked through my loud hailer. In a frenzy, the Star Tugs all explained everything to me. Settle down, I called, trying to bring order to the chatter. Right, I don't like this situation any more than you do, but OJ and Hercules are right. All we can do is simply file a report against Bluenose's conduct. Anything else that happens is unfortunately purely a matter of chance. Now, 10 Cents, Sunshine, the fuel barge is ready for you to take to Lily.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
The two switchers said together as they moved off. Now the rest of you've all had a good hard day's work today, so get some rest, I told them. After that, everything fell quiet. Grampus and the larger tugs soon dozed off, and and I was making my way homeward. I thought about what Warrior and Big Mac had seen, and I had a funny feeling that things were only going to get worse for poor Izzy until they got better. A few weeks later, Izzy was approaching the port. It had been a long and rough journey, rougher than most. Partway between the port of Manzanillo and Big City, his propeller had begun to feel strange. Somehow it didn't seem to be responding as it should have done, and he seemed to be going slower than was needed. This made him very late indeed.
Oh, I gotta go faster.
He thought worriedly,
If me bosses find out I late, they...
but he never finished these thoughts. The day was foggy and visibility was very poor. As he began to approach the harbour mouth, he could see a familiar grey shape moving in front of him. As Izzy got closer, he realised the figure in question was Bluenose, blocking his path. Izzy tried to set his engines to reverse, but his propeller suddenly failed. It slowed and came to a halt. As slow as he was going, his speed was still too fast for Izzy to lower his anchor without dipping his bow and taking on water. All he could do was sound his whistle.
Ay caramba, Capitan!
He called.
Get out of me way!
No chance!
Sneered Bluenose.
I'm not letting any filthy foreigners into my port.
No, Capitan, you no understand.
Izzy cried,
There's no joke, out of me!
but it was too late. With an almighty crash, Izzy struck Bluenose's rear, sending the naval tug flying forwards. Almost immediately, Bluenose regained control over himself and stopped before he went any further. Izzy gulped as his wheelhouse turned. An expression of pure malice soon gazed upon the old tramper.
So that's your little game, is it, laddie?
Bluenose seethed.
Assaulting a superior naval officer in broad daylight, out in open waters?
No, Capitan, perdoname, me propeller is no good.
Do I look as if I've given them a bad call for your petty excuses, you filthy greaseball?
Bluenose thundered. He came up alongside Izzy and threw his tow lines all around him.
You wretched foreigners have had it far too easy here.
Bluenose continued.
And now I shall make an example of you.
No, my Capitan, please let me go.
Wailed Izzy. He tried to start his engines again in a desperate bid to pull away from Bluenose, but his propeller had completely failed on him. Izzy wasn't going anywhere without Bluenose. The naval tug gave a nasty smirk as he watched Izzy.
Pah! Engine conveniently failed, eh? What a pathetic excuse, you low-life saboteur!
Bluenose jeered as he led a very distressed Izzy away. No one noticed a series of bubbles rising up to the surface. Later that day, Warrior was passing the naval dock with Lord Stinker. Even the Navy had litter to dispose of. Thanks to the earlier incident, Bluenose needed repainting and a damage report, and was unable to take their garbage to the municipal dump as usual, and so Warrior had been requested to make a special stop there. Zoran overtook him with a barge full of building supplies for Toptown.
My, Warrior, I didn't know you were pals with criminals,
he sneered. You don't know what you're talking about, replied Warrior.
Oh, come off it, surely you've heard.
Zoran grinned devilishly. No, I ain't heard nothing.
Well, I'm not gonna say. All I know is there's something interesting in Dry Dock, and that's one less job for you stars have going for you.
And Zoran puffed away, chuckling as he went. As Warrior passed the entrance to the naval dock, Lord Stinker saw Izzy hoisted into the air on a cradle, looking sad and alone in a shed, and feeling rightfully sorry for himself.
Oh dear,
groaned the old garbage barge.
You're not going to like what's in here, Warrior.
What do you mean? Asked Warrior, looking around. Then he looked in the dock. His face fell. Izzy! He cried out, halting suddenly and sending Lord Stinker crashing into him. What happened? He exclaimed, ignoring the garbage barge's complaints. Izzy was about to explain everything when another voice spoke over them. He's been clapped in Dry Dock! Warrior looked around. One of the office buildings had a megaphone sticking out of its front door.
My name is Commander Morrigan, and you, I assume, are here for the garbage detail.
Yes, sir, replied Warrior. But why is Izzy in dry dock?
We are undergoing a damage inspection to both him and one of our tugboats,
answered Commander Morrigan.
He'll be subject to a court-martial for assaulting a naval officer.
What?
Assaulting a naval officer, namely one by the name of Captain Bluenose of the 14th Coastal Supplies and Tugging Corps. But I have no time to discuss naval issues with civilians. Now that you have what you asked for, I suggest you make your way to the rear of the base. The less anyone sees of us cavorting with civilians irresponsibly, the better.
Campering with civilitums, Warrior exclaimed.
Just go!
Commander Morrigan demanded.
We'd better do as he says, Warrior,
Lord Stinker warned.
I don't fancy being next for target practice at his temper.
Warrior, getting the feeling that more trouble would ensue if he stayed, moved off. As he passed the warehouse, however, he whispered something to Izzy. Don't worry, Izzy, he said. I'll have you out, somehow.
Muchas gracias, compadre,
Izzy said sadly.
but no, it is no use. I give up.
Yeah, well, don't, replied Warrior. We'll think of something.
No, amigo.
Replied Izzy.
You already helped me once. I no deserve your help again.
Yeah, well, you're getting it anyway, deserving or not, Warrior retorted with determination.
No, Warrior, you no listen. This my mess, compadre. I no want you hurt or in trouble.
Izzy protested. Who from? The Navy? All they've given us is nothing but trouble, them and Bluenose, Warrior said.
But Warrior, amigo, if you help me, you're criminal too. You don't want that, compadre, believe me.
Izzy said.
Take it from me, that's not something you want on your record.
Agreed Lord Stinker. Yeah, well, so what if I'm a criminal? Argued Warrior as they backed away. I'd rather be on the wrong side of the law than leave a friend when they need help.
Ay, listen, Warrior, I be fine. Just leave me.
Izzy called out. No chance, Warrior replied. I'm gonna see OJ. OJ was moored up at the Star Dock. I had yet to issue any orders for the evening, so he was enjoying a quiet afternoon nap when Warrior came in at a rate of knots that the Coast Guard would have frowned upon. OJ, he cried. OJ stirred abruptly and looked through his glasses at the harbour tug.
What?
He said, stifling a yawn.
What is it, Warrior?
It's Izzy, Warrior said quickly. He's been held at the Navy dock. And he told OJ everything that had happened.
I see,
said OJ.
Well, the only thing I can suggest is to go and tell the Coast Guard. He'll look into it and get it sorted.
No point in doing that, old darling. Warrior and OJ looked around and saw Hercules coming into the dock. Good evening, my dears, he said. I was just escorting a naval tramper to the base when I happened to see old Izzy Gomez in dry dock. The Coast Guard seemed to be asking him a few questions. I gathered he had come on the wrong side of the Navy, but now I get a feeling that there's more to the story than meets the eye. Yeah, Bluenose is at the heart of it all, agreed Warrior. He and OJ then explained the matter to Hercules. I see, said Hercules. Well, I can't wait around for long, old darlings. I've got to escort a couple of trampers out to sea. I won't be able to pass the message on to Grampus myself. He's out assisting Port Authority on something. I'll pass 10 Cents and Sunshine on my way, though, and ask them to tell the others about this. They'll be out refueling Lily at this point anyway. Toodaloo! Hercules was as good as his word. Within half an hour, Warrior was explaining everything to the other Star Tugs. The cat! Top Hat explained.
Trust Bluenose to make a massive problem of this.
Big Mac seethed.
And to Izzy of all boats,
10 Cents said sadly.
What's he ever done to deserve that? Hey,
agreed Sunshine.
You'd think he was dealing with Johnny Cuba of all boats. Yeah, well, he might as well be, 10 Cents fumed. You know, I've had enough of old Bluenose. First he tries to blow Grampus up, then he starts that fire, and now he's arresting Izzy for no reason.
Hey,
Well, not just that, but also you don't want to hear the names Bluenose has been calling Izzy,
Big Mac added. What were they? Sunshine asked.
Insults.
Big Mac said simply.
Nothing but insults. And all against Mexicans.
There was a long pause as their faces all fell. Then, Warrior saw 6 angry faces all looking at each other in agreement.
Right, that does it,
10 Cents stated, now incensed with fury.
Come on!
What are you doing, man?
Sunshine asked.
Getting some barges, then going to see this Commander Morgan. Come on, you lot!
So they all followed 10 Cents out of the Star Dock and around the port, collecting barges and towing them away with them. Then they made for the naval dock. Zoran was returning to the Zero Dock when he saw them pass by.
Hello,
He thought.
Something's got 'em all riled up.
Then, with a nasty smirk, he thought,
I reckon I know someone who'll be interested in this.
and he moved off in the direction of the port. It had been a long afternoon for Bluenose. He had needed to be repainted and inspected for damage. Luckily, there were only a few adjustments needed to his rudder, after which he had been tasked with overseeing the loading and unloading of several naval vessels, as well as escorting them to and from their respective naval bases. Now he was only too happy to return to his dock for what he considered a well-earned rest. But as he approached the naval dock, he swiftly realized he would have much better luck in trying to be refitted into an ocean liner than getting any rest that evening. A row of barges blocked the entrance to the docks, with other naval tugs baying and growling before them and making attempts to push their way through. And right behind the barges sat the Star Tugs, each tied onto a barge and pushing back against them as the naval tugs tried to gain entrance to them.
What's all this?
Bluenose demanded.
Captain Bluenose, sir!
A naval switcher cried.
These intruders have infiltrated our headquarters. We can't get them out. Stand easy, Able Sea Duck Huntley,
Bluenose ordered.
I'll sort this rebel out.
He rammed a barge hard.
Hooray! You lot, Star Stacks! Get yourself off of those barges and reverse now! This is an invasion of naval property!
Yeah, well, we're not moving, Warrior stated.
Hey, you pushed us around too often, you big bully!
Added Sunshine.
Yeah, this time you've gone too far!
Agreed 10 Cents.
Precisely!
Agreed OJ.
You let Izzy go, and we all leave here peacefully. What's going on here?
Demanded another voice. The boats all looked around and saw Commander Morgan's megaphone sticking out of his window. Your captain is holding an innocent civilian hostage, Top Hat stated.
And what's an overdressed dinghy like you to do about it?
Bluenose sneered.
After all, there's nothing to prove that he is innocent in any way.
As if you're any better, you naval imbecile, Top Hat retorted.
With respect, Commander,
said OJ.
Captain Bluenose's conduct has been nothing but reprehensible. We have reason to believe he has made a false report about an innocent civilian vessel named Izzy Gomez, who is now in your dry dock. We have also been informed that he is making derogatory remarks about Izzy's nationality and ethnicity. We respectfully ask that you reconsider the situation and release said vessel.
Amidst the angry protests that followed this, 10 Cents then chanted something which the others soon joined in.
Let Izzy go! 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 Let Izzy go!
No, we shall not.
Bluenose argued.
I'm not going to back down to a bunch of interfering civilians, all for the sake of some low-life foreigner who poses a threat to our waters. Okay, now you listen here, Bluenose.
Big Mac retorted.
OJ and I are from other countries too, and we have worked this port for years. I suppose we pose a threat to these waters too.
Precisely, Big Mac, old man, agreed Top Hat. I don't care if it's even a dirty old rustbud kid like Izzy, but rating another vessel like that is just pure cruelty.
I'll give you cruel.
Bluenose thundered. He reversed and then charged straight towards the barges. Warrior saw him and went straight for Bluenose, who rammed into the barge. It gave way beneath him and sunk like a stone to the seabed. The two harbour tugs met head-on, their bows colliding sharply with each other.
let me through, laddie, or I'll have you join that damned graceful in dry dock!
Bluenose roared, much to the shock of the other Navy tugs. No way! Warrior raged. This is for Izzy! The water behind the two harbour tugs churned wildly as they continued to push against each other. I do not doubt that this conflict would have had an unpleasant end, were it not for the sound of a voice shouting, "That's enough!" Everyone stopped and looked to see the Coast Guard arriving on the scene, followed by Zoran. They stopped right by the line of remaining barges, just shy of Warrior and Bluenose.
Back away from each other, now!
Ordered the Coast Guard. Warrior did so, but Bluenose just stayed where he was, a smug grin across his face. The Coast Guard grimly surveyed the area.
I shall report you all for this,
he said.
Barring other vessels from lawful entry is a very serious offence, alongside damaging another person's property and engaging in acts of public violence. You can expect a very hefty fine from your actions, all of you. Ha! I told you so, sir,
said Zoran, a nasty smirk across his face.
All these years those star tugs have made themselves out to be a bunch of goody two-screws, only to prove themselves to be no better than us Z-stacks. You lot are pathetic. Shut it, Zoran,
said the Coast Guard firmly.
I've done my investigations and there's more coming, so until I have presented the facts, keep your opinions to yourself. Commander Morrigan, I've completed my investigation as promised earlier. You see,
he went on, addressing the star tugs,
I too was at the naval base earlier, before you arrived for the garbage warrior, and oversaw the damage report for both Izzy and Bluenose. Izzy's report showed that there was damage to both his bow and his propeller, but the propeller is too far away from the bow to be subject to much impact from that end. Then there were the witness statements. Bluenose's account states that he was making his way to another job at the time that Izzy struck him. However, this conflicts not only with Izzy's report, but also with an eyewitness account.
A series of bubbles emerged right beside the Coast Guard, and Grampus slowly rose up to the surface.
Commander Morgan, he said, I saw it all. At about the time Izzy Gomez was approaching port, Captain Bluenose there moved in front of him and obstructed his path. Visibility above water was very poor, owing to the weather conditions at the time. Heavy fog, sir. Anyway, Gomez's propeller was not moving, which meant he was unable to check his speed, and he was moving much too fast to safely lower his anchor in time. As soon as the incident had happened, Captain Bluenose was quick to place charges upon Gomez, without conducting a thorough investigation of the aforementioned vessel, and led him away, accompanied by inappropriate slurs against both his character and his background. This report,
continued the Coast Guard,
stands in similarity with that submitted by Izzy Gomez. That, and I happened to hear some of the argument between these two fleets as we approached this area.
Indeed, remarked Commander Morrigan. A hush fell over the gathering as he considered his next words carefully. Eventually, he broke the silence.
Captain Bluenose, come off!
Bluenose did so, still with a smug expression on his face.
Captain, upon consideration of the evidence presented to me just now, accompanied by the witness statements, I have no option but to place you under arrest for false accusations, engaging in violent activity, exhibiting prejudice to other vessels, and tarnishing the good name and reputation of the Navy by persuading us to engage in false imprisonment.
Bluenose's face fell into a look of horror as two ocean-going naval tugs came alongside and threw their ropes around him.
You shall be held in dry dock for a period of 14 days,
continued Commander Morrigan.
After which, we shall hold a court-martial to decide what is to be done with you. How we can live down with having wrongfully detained a vessel I shall never know. You have put us in a very difficult situation. But I'm innocent,
cried Bluenose.
You can't arrest me for trying to uphold security. Think of the last time we let a foreigner into port. That was a convicted criminal, Commander Morrigan thundered. This was an innocent vessel with no criminal intentions other than getting a cheap tow. Besides, I have had several reports of your conduct during your time in this port, and I have frankly had enough of you.
He looked at the two large tugs holding Bluenose.
Take him away!
The ocean-going tugs then backed away with Bluenose. He strained against them, but it was no use. Their ropes were far too tight around him. Finally, he gave in. and sadly allowed himself to be towed away.
As for you,
Commander Morgan said to my Startugs,
get out of here. I don't want to see you lot around my dock again without a proper reason. And take those barges away from here. And will someone please get a crane to remove that damned wreck?
The next morning, I had a few choice words to say to my fleet. I've been receiving several complaints about you all last night, I said. Taking barges without consent, using them to block a naval dock and then destroying one while in conflict with an officer of the Navy. I've had to pay a considerable sum of money to the barge companies and to the Coast Guard for the fines you all accrued. Please, sir, said Warrior, all we wanted was...
I'm not finished,
I said abruptly.
You also acted rashly in a situation that would have otherwise been better suited for the authorities to determine. Especially since I expect some of you to know better than to do so.
Here, 10 Cents and OJ looked down in shame.
However, I cannot help but note that all this was in aid of assisting a friend in some distress. Not only that, but you also exposed the prejudice held within another vessel, one in possession of some power, I might add, and effectively combated it. Commander Morgan was distinctly unimpressed by Blue Nose's remarks about Izzy, and we have since come to the understanding that the fight between Warrior and Blue Nose was largely in defence on Warrior's side. In fact, I think we have both Warrior and Grampus to thank for all this. Grampus for swiftly alerting the Coast Guard to the incident, and Warrior for taking action to reveal Blue Nose's true feelings about foreigners. So as long as nothing like this ever happens again, I think we can say no more about it.
A murmur of agreement went up around the docks.
Darlings.
Now for your orders, I continued. First off, Warrior, I want you to collect a tramper from Lucky's yard and take it out to sea. You'll know who it is when you arrive. Yes, sir, said Warrior, and he quickly steamed away. When he arrived at Lucky's, there was a strange-looking ship anchored just outside it. This vessel had brand new white paint across their cabin and fences, as well as red, white and green on their stack, but their hull was completely black with a brown deck and orange keel. On their rear were the words Shore, Savile and Albion Line, London, England. In spite of all this, they wore a sombrero over their wheelhouse. It was, of course, Izzy! Cheered Warrior.
Hola, amigo.
Greeted Izzy, smiling warmly at him.
They fixed me up and let me out yesterday. Then the Coast Guard tell me to go to Lucky's yard. I go, and he say I no need work for Sandra and Bananas no more. He say he pressed charges on them for not looking after me and my crew, and they sell me to new company in England.
Wow, that's great, Izzy! Warrior beamed.
See?
Said Izzy. Then he paused.
But England is long, long way from big city. It mean I no come here so much no more.
Said Warrior. He began to feel upset. Izzy noticed his expression.
But you know Warrior,
he said.
I still come back. You and me, we amigos for life. But you no bump me, please. Now I need a tow out of port. I gotta go to me new home. Can you take me, please?
Of course, said Warrior happily, and with tow lines around Izzy, the two of them set off through the port. All of Starfleet cheered as he went past, and even some of the Z-Sacks couldn't help but admire Izzy's smart new paint. Eventually, they got to the mouth of the port, and Warrior untied his tow lines. Izzy, however, still had something else to say to him.
You guys really helped me yesterday,
he said.
Muchas gracias.
No problem, said Warrior. I'll do anything for a friend. And I can think of a few tugs who'd do the same for theirs, he added, thinking back to 10 Cents and Sunshine. But will you still be alright?
Oh, there still be boats that know like me,
said Izzy casually.
But now I know I have amigos I can trust. These mean boats, they know so bad now.
Good. You know, you're welcome back any time, Izzy, Warrior said.
I look forward to it. But for now, adios, compadre.
Goodbye, Izzy. and Warrior watched as Izzy started away and disappeared over the horizon. He smiled as he thought over all that had happened. He would see Izzy again, one day. Izzy still returned to the port from time to time, even if it was less frequently than before. But whenever he did, he would always specifically ask for Warrior to tow him to and from the port. As for Bluenose, he got his just desserts. For his actions, he was given 6 months in dry dock before being transferred to a naval base in another part of the country. And even then it would be a long time, a good many years in fact, before we ever saw him anywhere near Big City Port again. But when I look back on it all now, I can't help but think that everyone had learned a valuable lesson that day. Izzy realized that he had friends who would go to any lengths to help him out of trouble, and Warrior had learned about the harsh cruelty of prejudice, something which I hope that Bluenose had realized that day. No one deserves to be treated poorly, regardless of their differences. We are all one and the same deep down. And if we accept one another, then we can all make connections that can last us all our lives. Just as it would for Warrior and Izzy Gomez.